What's up, everybody? It's Friday, and it's time for Tower Talk. February 5th, 2021. All right, everybody. Before we get into going through the TWAB piece by piece, I want to start with my impressions for the Season of the Chosen trailer that just came out. I liked everything that I saw in that trailer. We've got a new strike. We've got another exotic bow, which I am always down for that because, look, everybody knows I like bows. I collect bows even though I don't use them a ton, relatively speaking. I still love them. And the exception to that is the exotic bows, because I've actually used those quite a bit, especially Trinity Ghoul since it got its catalyst. So I always like seeing something like that added. Oh, and Leviathan's Breath also. I've actually used that quite a bit. Let's see, we've got 2 returning classic strikes. We've got a match-made activity. Overall, I mean, this season looks poggers. It looks totally poggers to me. Did anyone catch at the end of the trailer the armor that had the constellations on it? It kind of reminds me of that one hunter set. What was it? The Empyrean Cartographer, I think it was. But it looks like way cooler. I am assuming that new set with the constellations on it must be an Eververse. And if so, insert the Fry gif. Shut up and take my money. I need constellations for all my characters. I paid for Empyrean Cartographer. I'll probably pay for that one too, unless I just don't like the look of it overall, you know what I'm saying? Another thing I want to point out is I'm super curious about Osiris saying there is no light here at the end of that trailer, because that exact phrase has been heard before, right? Zol, the worm god, he said that to us in the Warmind campaign, remember? When we went after Nokris. And he said it to us during the Whisper mission. Remember that deep rumbling, there is no light here? You shall drift, you shall drown in the deep. Right? It is very, very interesting to me that that exact phrase is being used and that it is being said by Osiris. Very, very interesting. And I saw something else, a piece of Destiny concept art that somebody tweeted, and they had it side by side with that part of the trailer. And the concept art was of some, Cabal battlecruiser. And it very much looks like whatever that was in that scene was in fact that cruiser, heavily hidden in shadow. And so again, Osiris is at this Cabal cruiser saying there is no light here. Very, very, very interesting. I want to read this little summary from IGN because they spell this out better than I could. Their description of what's going to happen with Season of the Chosen is players who own the Destiny 2 Season Pass will unlock the Prefectus armor set. That's the one you've seen with all the memes, the Conehead stuff, and the Pokemon, and all the silly comparisons. I gotta say, though, I think that Prefectus armor set's really cool. I actually, overall, really like the Persian influence on this year's set. I'm just curious, is the set they showed us in the trailer the ornaments, or is that the base set? Very curious. Very, very curious. I wouldn't choose it over other things, but I really like it. So, you're going to get the Prefectus armor set, and the exotic bow we mentioned called Teku's Divination, which launches solar arrows that can track, quote, several targets at once, unquote. I'm going to stop here, too, to say, I keep hearing people say, cool, so it's Solar Trinity Ghoul. No. I am irritated by this. It's nothing like Trinity Ghoul. It may have multiple arrows, but it ends there. Because those arrows track multiple targets. It's not just like one super arrow or a little spray of arrows that don't track anything, right? It's completely different. That's like calling Le Monarch the Void Trinity Ghoul. Right? Or calling Trinity Ghoul the Arc Le Monarch. Right? Very silly. This next thing that IGN said really got my attention. Over 25 new weapons will also be added alongside the Season Pass editions. Now, here's the thing. While it's easy to initially get excited over that, I believe the 8 or 10 reissues are being included in that number. But maybe not. Maybe not. Because we've got, what, like 6 seasonal weapons, and then... See, they've got to be counting Palindrome and all that stuff, too. So, I don't think there's actually 25 new weapons. I'm just going to say that. But it's saying 25 new weapons will also be added alongside the Season Pass editions. So we'll see exactly how that pans out. I think a bunch of those are reissues, so it's not really 25. The story of Season 13 centers around a political feud between Empress Keitel and Zavala. With the Pyramids and Xivu Arath destabilizing the system, Empress Keitel, leader of the Cabal and daughter of Callus, seeks an alliance. But when she demands more than Zavala can offer, negotiations collapse. Guardians will do battle with Keitel's growing war council to stabilize the situation. That just sounds poggers too. Like, I like that story. I always like it when we go up against the Cabal, and there's this interesting angle that Keitel is Callus's daughter. And I just have to wonder, like, what story things that's going to facilitate, you know? I'm super, super, super pumped for that new strike, where we have to breach the giant moving fortress, the giant moving Cabal fortress. Yes, please. I cannot wait to get in there for that. I mean, that has the potential to be one of the best strikes we've ever had. Just the idea of it already puts it at the top if it is in fact that good of a strike. I feel this like hovering sense of dread that people are just going to call it Arms Dealer Plus or some stupid crap like that. And I don't think so. I think it'll be better than that, but of course we'll have to wait and see. And of course, Devil's Lair in particular is one of my favorite of the old D1 strikes. And I remember Fallen Saber being fairly challenging at the end. I don't think I got to play that one a ton, but I remember liking it. So, like, all 3 of those strikes, both the returning and the new one, are really going to be a nice addition to that playlist that, like, sorely needs a hand up right now, considering the ones that we lost, right? Not just the number of strikes, but what happened in them and what type of strikes they were. I've definitely felt the loss of the Mercury ones in particular, and, like, Sabathun's Song as well. That was, like, losing a big 3 right there, and so these 3 that are coming in, especially our Breach the Moving Fortress strike, are going to be really important, I think. Yeah. So, that's my impressions and our little discussion on the Season of the Chosen trailer. You should definitely go check it out for yourself if you have not seen it yet. There's a lot of really good stuff in there. Okay, so on to going through the TWAB. After they showed the trailer there at the beginning of the TWAB, they move on to showing us the Season of the Chosen roadmap. And so we're just going to go through that real quick. February 9th, so that's day 1, we're going to get the Behemoth and Hailstone Battlegrounds. That's our match-made seasonal activity. And remember, everybody, that seasonal activity will not go away at the end of the season. So again, this is another thing that I'm really poggers about, because I have acutely felt the loss of the menagerie. Now we have an activity like that, and like the sundial that will be match made that we can play. So very much looking forward to that. We will also get the Devil's Lair and Fallen Saber strikes that day, as well as the new private staging ground called Helm. You know, it's acronym HELM, whatever that's supposed to stand for. And I noticed on the roadmap that there is a picture specifically of the new recaster. So that new permanent prismatic recaster thing, I guess, is going to be in the Helm staging ground, whatever that is. I'm really looking forward to that, just to finding out what the setup is, you know. Also on February 9th, the new Stasis aspect quests begin. So we have new things coming for Stasis, always interesting. February 12th, Trials begins, and there will be new armor and weapons there. February 16th, the Cleansing Battleground will open. February 23rd, the Oracle Battleground and the first Iron Banner. March 23rd, the Proving Ground Strike, that's our mobile fortress strike, opens for season pass holders, and the next Iron Banner. So, strike fans and people that are curious about that mobile fortress strike, March 23rd. Mark your calendars. I think I'm going to have to do, I don't know exactly what day that is. It's probably a Tuesday. But I'll have to make sure that we do a stream of getting in there for the first time. March 30th, the Proving Ground Strike will enter the playlist for all players, and we will have the Nightfall for it. So, Season Pass people get it March 23rd. Everyone else gets it March 30th. Okay? April 13th, Iron Banner. Looks like that's the last one of the season. And then this was very interesting to me. April 20th through May 9th will be the next Guardian Games. I honestly have to admit that I'm a little surprised that this event would return, considering what happened. I don't have a problem with it returning. The Guardian Games itself was okay. I mean, it was just a typical, you know, grindy event like you would have in any game that had special things that you do kind of while you do what you always do. But I can't say that I'm ultra pumped to see it return, because it was so incredibly toxic last time. So my hope is that because it is returning, it's been reworked, but it's not going to work the same way. It was toxic, it was divisive. I'm really not interested in that event going that way again. So I really hope it doesn't. I did notice, looking at the picture in the roadmap, the first thing I thought when I looked at that armor is I thought SRL. Like, legit, especially that Titan in the middle, that looks like an SRL suit to me. Now, I know that it's probably beyond stupid to even be considering the return of SRL. Like, that's not what it's going to be. But that armor has me questioning that. Like, wouldn't it be epic to just say, not only have we fixed Guardian Games, but you're going to compete doing SRL? I mean, that would be a bombshell. I don't dare hope for it, because I know better. But there's just this little part of me, like, just this little flame that won't go out that's like, yeah, maybe it'll be SRL. You know what I mean? I know I'm not alone in that. But either way, I'm cautiously optimistic and curious how the Guardian Games will work this time. And then the last thing on the calendar, May 7th through 9th, is the Guardian Games closing ceremonies. So it's going to have some specific closing to end the season, too. And then, of course, they have a little box there that says, and more. So there are other secret things that are not part of this roadmap right now. But it really, really looks good. I'm excited for what we have. We've discussed a lot of the other changes already, and when you put it together with all of this, I'm feeling good. There's plenty that I'm going to enjoy for sure. Okay, next section. Weapons returning from Destiny 1, and they do say specifically here that they are rewards for completing Nightfall the Ordeal. The harder the level, the better the drop chances, is what they've said. And those returning weapons are the Swarm, Palindrome, and Shadow Price. That's a light machine gun, a hand cannon, and an auto rifle, respectively. And I don't think I had the Swarm, but I know I had Palindrome and Shadow Price in Destiny 1, so I'm looking forward to greeting those old friends again, especially Palindrome, since I like hand cannons a lot more these days. I want to get my hands on old Palindrome and get a little bit of nostalgia going for sure. Oh yeah, here's the part where they describe it right here underneath the picture. Nightfall the Ordeal weapons have a chance to drop at the end of the activity depending on your metal, platinum, gold, etc., and difficulty. So, like, let's say you play at a lower difficulty, but you get the platinum medal, you'd have a little bit more of a chance above just the difficulty, which I like that. Master difficulty will give you the highest chance at a drop of the base version of these weapons. So if you can do Master, that's your best shot. Adept difficulty weapons have a chance to drop at the end of a Grandmaster Nightfall when they go live later in the season. Drop chance also dependent on your medal. So if you do Grandmaster and you also get one of the better medals, you have even more of a chance at the Adept stuff. Slay enough champions to hit Platinum and you will have a high chance at an Adept weapon. I wonder what the percentage is. I'm just curious. But I like the way they did that. Because it doesn't... Again, this is what I'm talking about with balance. It doesn't cut out the lower players, but it rewards the people with the skill that spend the time. And that's what it should be. I raised an eyebrow at this next section where they showed us a photo of the new pursuit weapon. Once again, you will be able to earn it from a quest of your choice, choosing between Strikes, Crucible, or Gambit, to earn the new breech-loaded grenade launcher Salvager's Salvo. And if you look at this sucker, it's a reskin of the Mountaintop. And I've seen every kind of reaction from yay to oh no. It may look like Mountaintop, but what's on it? I really do hope that it's kinetic, though, because I like that setup where you can put Mountaintop, in your kinetic slot and then use an energy weapon. So I'm hoping that this guy can be... It may not be like the same super awesome thing, but that this can kind of be my go-to breech loader and I can sort of use some of my Mountaintop-like configurations. That would be nice. I can't say that I really care for the way that it looks, but I'm sure there's some shader that'll dress it up, or there'll be an ornament or something. We'll see. But looking forward to that. Hoping that it fills kind of a gap that I have, since a lot of things I like to use, actually, not just Mountaintop or Sunset, in the kinetic slot. So, could be good times. It's going to be hard to dethrone Heritage, though. Not going to lie. Heritage is my A#1 in that slot right now. And then, of course, after you've obtained your new Tool of Destruction, you will be able to earn 3 different ornaments for it from additional quests picked up from Zavala, Shaxx, and the Drifter. So just like Adored. Same thing. I have to say, too, we're talking about, is it the next Mountaintop? Well, Adored was a replacement for Beloved. Even if Bungie wouldn't admit to that, that's what it was. So we'll see. Will it have the micro missile? Who knows? The next section was about trials, and I'm gonna skip over that because I don't care about trials at all. If you're into that, you can go check out the TWAB. I will say that I think the new weapons and the armor and like the Ghost and Ship and Sparrow all look amazing. I mean, the design work is great, so you should definitely go look at that just to appreciate the design. That's some cool looking stuff for sure. Scroll down, and then they go, but wait, there's more. Season of the Chosen has several new additions to your arsenal ready for the taking, and they have a lovely picture of the seasonal weapons, which I love. I have always liked the Leviathan weapons. I still have all of my Leviathan weapons from the raid just because I love the way that they look. They were good guns too, but I love the way that they look. And these ones are kind of the same deal, but like the rest of the Empress Keitel stuff, they have this sort of sharper look to them, and they're like dark with gold instead of white and gold, and they have more of that Persian influence like the armor sets have, as opposed to sort of the more rounded regal look of the Leviathan stuff. So I'm looking forward to collecting all of these. I remember when I looked at this the first time, I thought, oh my god, please let, especially the ones that are in the archetypes that I really like, please let them be good. Because if they're good and they look like this, that's the most fun. And they're a lot more liable to stick around in my inventory after they sunset if they're awesome and good looking. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of what's in my collection, I have to be fully honest, I enjoy playing with them because they're awesome and they have a certain look or a certain sound. And that's what, makes me want to trot them out, doing strikes or patrols or whatever, just like a non-power enabled activity. So I always look forward to that kind of thing. Of course, I got to figure out how to make room, but that shouldn't be as much of a problem because we're going to have the ability to turn our armor into ornaments, I believe, sometime during this season, right? Wasn't it during season 13 that was going to happen? So I can free up a lot of slots once that starts. And fully ready to make an investment of silver too, by the way, if that's what it takes to get it done. They got a lot of stuff that can go. Anyway, that's that part. The next part I thought super cool. They go on to talk about what's happening to all of the Aeon armor exotics, something that has desperately needed love because it was a cool idea, their synergy, but in practice it wasn't cool enough to justify using over other things, right? And I'm still unsure that it's going to be cool enough to justify using over certain things, but be a fun thing to do with clanmates or certain friends or whatever, for sure. And what they did, I'm just going to paraphrase here, is they kind of looked at, what is Armor 2.0 like with all of its mods and different things like that. And they decided that the Aeon Cult exotics will have their own unique mod socket and mods. And they're all unlocked as soon as you acquire the exotic. The 3 different Aeon Cult mods are Sect of Force, Sect of Insight, and Sect of Vigor. Sect of Force, rapid precision hits with a weapon temporarily increase your reload speed and weapon swap speed. When you stun a champion or defeat a boss or mini-boss, your nearby fireteam members gain a burst of grenade and melee energy. Aeon Cult allies who do not have the Sect of Force role equipped also gain a burst of super energy. Sect of Insight, successive precision weapon takedowns have a chance to drop an orb of power for your allies. When you use a finisher on an elite, you generate special ammo for your fireteam. When you use a finisher on a boss or mini-boss, you generate heavy ammo for your fireteam. Nearby Aeon Cult allies who do not have the Sect of Insight role equipped also gain a bonus to weapon damage for a short time. I really like this one. I can see my one clanmate, Trick, using Sect of Insight, because he's always the guy that will start melting like a champion, and then he'll go in there and do a finisher, right? And then I could see that bumping our damage. Then the last one is the one that I see myself using, the Sect of Vigor. Gain class ability energy as your allies die. Gain full class ability energy when you resurrect an ally. I like that one. Right? Use your well, get somebody up, have it again. That's the way I see it. When you cast your super, nearby allies gain an instant burst of healing. Aeon Cult allies who do not have the Sect of Vigor roll equipped also gain an overshield. So that, like, that is legit my role right there. Always have a well and be healing and giving people overshields. Dope. That sounds great. I'll do Sect of Vigor. My buddy Trick can run Sect of Insight. And then we got to figure out who's going to be the Force guy. I'm looking forward to that, though. For sure. That sounds pretty fun. For maximum efficiency, each member of the 3-player fire team should choose a different mod to reap the most benefits. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could see us running like 2 Vigor and 1 Insight, but it would depend. If I was doing something really difficult, we'd want to run all 3, I think. But I really like that idea. That's a great revamp to what was actually a really solid original idea that just didn't quite pan out because it wasn't strong enough, you know. But armor's changed a lot, so it makes sense to revisit that and change it to kind of keep with the times, you know. We also have returning catalysts. Catalysts for the following weapons have had their drop sources and objectives updated to not be associated with vaulted content. So that's going to be Bad Juju, Izanagi's Burden, Sleeper Simulant, the Huckleberry, World Line Zero, Polaris Lance, Telesto, Legend of Acrius, and Skyburner's Oath. The catalysts for Whisper of the Worm and Outbreak Perfected are still unobtainable for anyone who hasn't already earned them, and will be added in a future update. So those are still on hold, folks. But of particular interest to me is Sleeper Simulant and Legend of Acrius. Because Legend of Acrius was a prestige Leviathan. And Sleeper Simulant was, that was Spire of Stars, I think. So I'm curious what I will have to do to get those, considering what their original sources were. But I like that they're going to have a new source, because I never got either one of those. And I don't do anything serious with Acrius, but I do like to tinker with it, and I'd love to have the catalyst. Not going to lie. Let's see. Prime loot was discussed. Item and quest removal. Reminder to everybody that weekly bounties for Strikes, Crucible, Gambit, the Gunsmith, and Crow will be removed, so don't stack those. Crucible tokens and Crucible token gifts. So I would redeem your Crucible tokens. That's actually something I have to do. Probably going to be sitting down and doing that tomorrow, I guess. While I watch TV or something. Turn them all in and just reap the materials. I want to say I have like 5,000 Crucible tokens. It's going to take me a while. It's going to take some time. But I don't want to waste the potential materials, you know, if anything else. Memory fragments for stasis will be removed. All Crow bounties. So not just his weeklies. They do name it in the weeklies, but all Crow bounties are going to go. And the planetary materials, Alkane Dust, Phase Glass Needles, Seraphite, and Simulation Seeds. You will be able to turn these into Spider for Glimmer. So if there's anything for sale right now that you want to use them for, do it. Any that you have left, you'll get money. So that's good. You'll get something for them. I think that is going to do it. I did have one little talking point. I saw conversations still ongoing about Eververse, and not bitching really, just kind of like constructive stuff. And Protheon said something that I often think but don't always voice, which is that I want to be able to get more cosmetics by earning them. You know, being able to do the different skins for Beloved was really nice. Because you did them through effort, and I would like to see more of that too. I'm fully in agreement with him. And he said, imagine if you needed 10,000 kills with an exotic to unlock its ornament. Fully agree. And here's what I say. Because I still have to walk this back. Like in a perfect world, yeah, sure. Make that the only way. But I'm going to walk it back and say, this is still a business. and frankly, you're up to $80 a year, you're $60 to $80 a year, does not cover the ongoing running of Destiny 2. Microtransactions are not going to go anywhere. They are needed to keep the game going. The only way we could ever possibly get rid of them is if you were willing to pay more for that annual content, not just in Destiny, but anything else, right? Any standard game edition, you'd need to be willing to pay more, or there's no hope of microtransactions going away. And honestly, considering how much money is made with them, they're not going away. And I really don't mind. Their fair use is what my concern is. I understand with my business hat on that they're not going to go anywhere. Just make them fair. And, again, we're talking about cosmetics. There's no gameplay stuff going on. We're moving towards a more healthy balance of earnable versus only purchasable. And what I say about this particular thing, he says, get 10,000 kills, right? Is have it earnable that way, or you can just buy it. There are plenty of people who will pay because they don't want to sit and do the 10,000 kills, even if they would get them anyway. They want that badass skin today. So offer it to them for silver if they can't wait, if they can't do the goal. There are plenty of people who will still buy it. In fact, most people will probably still push the Eververse button to get it and not bother with the goals. For those of us that just want to go through the goals and not spend the money, let us do that. Because we're not spending the silver anyway. That's my 2 cents on that. That's going to do it for today's Tower Talk. Everybody, take care of yourselves. Stay safe out there. Be excellent to each other. And I will see you Starside.